this is a different chapter to the others. It's not a tool, it's not an operator, it's just some things that can help you make it nicer to use Linux and Bash on the command line. Let's go right ahead, talk about background processes. If you start some program, it will start processing and give output, and it's often to the screen, or maybe it's just sitting there doing something, and then you cannot use the terminal. It won't accept new commands while the processing is running. On the other hand, you can do multitasking. So how do you actually get to be able to do something in this terminal? The answer is foreground and background processes. Normally, if you start some process in a terminal, it runs in the foreground. You can't do anything else until it completes. You can use job control. You can move the process that's running in the foreground to the background, and you can also move it back to the foreground. It's also possible to start a job that is running directly in the background. And you do this by adding an ampersand at the end of the command. So say you gave a command with some options and some input, whatever, and then you end it with an ampersand. That means it goes to the background. And you are free to do something in the terminal. An example, maybe you are tarring up and zipping a directory that has lots and lots of files. Then you just put it to the background, and then it will continue there until it finishes. And you can do other things. A foreground job can be suspended with Control Z. When you do that, the shell will tell you that the job is suspended, and it will give you a job ID. And while you're doing this, it doesn't do anything. There is no processing done. It just sits there suspended. So let's assume you started a program, a job, just like normal in the foreground, and you realize that this is taking a long time. Let's move it to the background. The steps to do that are you suspend the job with Control Z. You now have the terminal released. You can then give the command BG to put the suspended job to the background, and it will start running again, but now it's running in the background. And you can check that it's running with the command jobs. So let's look at this here. Did I have something that did I? So one, do this 2 exercises. You don't actually always need this dash in front of the options for tar. Exercises, tar, GZ, and then exercises. So this will then start time, putting it together, and I will try and stop it. And of course, that didn't take a long time, but I don't have a huge downloads directory on this machine. So anyway, what I would do is that it starts working, and I will say Control Z. I have another example for you to test with. But then it stops, and this it shows here is the job ID. And you say BG, that means that it's moving this job to the background, and it starts working. It will show it like this. And then it's running there, and you can see it with jobs. To get the job running back to the foreground, you give FG and then this job ID. So in that case here, you would say FG %1. If you don't give it a job ID, then it assumes it is a currently suspended job, if any. And you can restart a suspended job either in the background or the foreground by giving BG job ID, percentage job ID, or in the foreground, FG percentage job ID. And you can always type jobs to see the job IDs you have. You can terminate a foreground job with Control-C or a background job by first sending it to the foreground and then do Control-C. You can also kill jobs in different ways with the command kill and the process ID. But we'll not cover that here more than saying that you can give this command here and then grep for something you are looking for instance, if you had Firefox running, you could grep for that if that was the process you wanted to kill. But as you can see, I have a lot of processes with that, because I have a lot of windows. You can also use, let's see. Oh, I don't think I'm going to spend time. This will take a long time. But you could then just kill and then take this ID here. PS-EFH just gives you this long list here of your jobs. And your jobs are the one that has your name. Some of them will just be root, which is the machine running. And you can do top also, and it will show some of them here. So, okay. Some useful terminal shortcuts and usage. Tab will autocomplete. So say you are starting to type something. Like I started to type GCC and I type tab. It will autocomplete if there is only one option. If there's many, it will show all of them. And then also you can just continue writing until it's unique. But tab is very useful. You can also autocomplete, for instance, ls exercise. Then you write just EX and then hit tab and then it picks that word. Control-C, kill the current foreground processes. Control-Z was suspend foreground processes. Control-A moves the cursor to the beginning of the line. I mean, and you have started writing and you realized this is not what you wanted to write. So you hold down Control and push A, you jump to the beginning of the line, and then maybe you can add something extra. And then if you want the cursor back to the end of the line, you hit Control-E, and then you're there. So it's faster. Control-L clears the screen, just like clear does. Control-K deletes the line after the cursor. That. And Control-Y pastes the most recent thing you copied or cut. Control-D will delete a character at that point, where your cursor is sitting in that position. Control-U deletes the entire line before. Deletes the whole line, yes. And Control-W can delete the word before the cursor. Control-P, go to previous command. And that's the same as arrow up. Arrow down, go the other way. Control-N, go to the next command, same as arrow down. Control-R is very useful. Then you do a search in your command history. So you start typing WC and then it's suggesting things that you have written previously, and we'll go through some of the suggestions like that. So another thing, how to edit a bash RC file. Let's see what time is it. Bash RC is a hidden file. If you want to see it, it's in your home directory, and you will not see it with ls. So you need to do ls-a, then bash rc. It's there. And you get some information about it here. So let's look inside of my bash rc. I have a lot of stuff there. If you want to edit it, nano, and then $home bash rc. And do note that if you're at one of the HPC centers, don't module load software inside the bash rc, because if 10 months from now you will have forgotten you put it there, and now something is not working because you have auto-loaded something, or maybe we changed the default version, or this version is no longer there. So don't put it there. It's not a good idea. There's something like module collections that you can use instead, if that's what you want. Also, if you're going to make a lot of changes to your bash rc, do a backup of it. Simply copy $home/.bashrc to, for instance, $home/.bashrc.back or something similar. If you have messed it up and nothing works, you can copy a skeleton version from /etc/skeld. There will be one in that directory you can copy. Useful things to put in your bash rc depends on what you like. You can put aliases there. I will mention them in 1-2 minutes. You can put environment variables, Python environments, paths, libraries, paths, customization, anything you want to. You can see here I have set how much history I want to save and things like this, so that I can go through and then reuse it. If you make changes to bashrc, it will be active when you have logged out and in, or you can source it. You get it to run it so that your system knows about the changes. And this is how you set a path or library path within bashrc. And then it's the same as I talked about earlier, but you can see it here. You need to keep the current path and then just add your new stuff to it after a call. I have some suggestions for customizations of the terminal. I'm not going to go through them here, but you can look at them yourself if you want. Let's exit this. Now, aliases. Aliases for commands means there are 2 commands for the same action. And it's usually something you do if you have a long command that you write often and you don't want to. Then you just make an alias for. They can either be persistent or non-persistent. Putting them in the .bashrc makes them persistent. Just using them on the command line with this alias, whatever you call the alias name, equals the command to have a non-persistent alias. For instance, you could say alias, and then maybe you often write ls minus lah. Then you just invent an alias lah and say equals colon quotations around ls minus lah. It will create an alias then that you can then use. So lah doesn't exist because I haven't yet created it. I will create this alias. Now I can say lah and it works as if I was as if that was a command. Persistent alias. those are in .bashrc, like I have some here. And you can create aliases if you want to. These are some common ones. You can make them if you want to. There are 4 minutes, something like this, 5. Go ahead and do the exercises. To start a job in the background with this ampersand. A job that takes time to run. Let's go to the intermediate bash. I have a program called slowcommand.sh. It is simply running a somewhat slow program, creating files, doing stuff to them. And if you start that, you should have time enough to put it to the background and do stuff with it. So look at the exercises, and let's be back at 15:53.